Hey guys, welcome along to the show. Before we get into it properly, I've got a little favour to ask of you. Obviously, if you're listening to Hellmouth Hotline, you have an interest in horror. So, I am currently, right now, working on my first draft of a kind of a horror script. So I'm going to be updating a few things on my website, coinsagemedia.com, at some point in the coming weeks of where I'm going to go with that and details of the name and some of the ideas that I'm playing about with at the minute. So if you'd be interested at all to go over and check that out, check out coinsagemedia.com, and yeah, I will really appreciate it. So let's get into this new episode. Alright guys, so welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and we're getting into Paranormal Activity 2 in this episode. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Now, these movies, cash cows, obviously from the first one, like everybody was talking about when it came out, so there was obviously going to be a sequel to it, and this one here actually turns out to be both a sequel and a prequel to the first Paranormal Activity. So you see connections throughout the film, and then when it comes together in beautiful style. Great movies. I have a lot of time for the Paranormal Activity movies, to a certain point. And, it's the same in every franchise. It starts off strong, it starts to get pretty good in the second one. They get some good ideas and they keep moving forward. But for me, when the mystery started to disappear to jump ahead really here, when the mystery started to disappear from Paranormal Activity, it just wasn't as good after that. There was something a little bit more unsettling and almost scarier about the fact that you didn't know certain pieces of information, and once that came to light, yeah. Anyway, I digress. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will probably agree with that. So, in this one here, there's a family. We get the found footage set up again in this one. There's a burglary at their home. Kirsty and Daniel live here. The house is completely wrecked. The only thing that's not been touched is their infant son's bedroom, this kid called Hunter. The only thing stolen from the house is a necklace that Christy's sister, Katie, gave to her. So, of course, Katie being the girl from the first movie that was being tormented by the spirits. They've got this Latin American housekeeper and nanny, and she's one of these spiritual people that, she senses evil spirits in the house, and she's constantly burning sage to get rid of them. Daniel fires her for doing this. She gets a few warning shots. We don't believe in this sort of thing. We would appreciate it if you didn't do this in our house, sort of a thing. So eventually, she gets fired for doing that. Christy also believes that their home is haunted, and she and Katie talk about being tormented by a demon when they were children. Daniel, however, initially dismisses the claim, despite footage of strange occurrences around the house. Daniel, he's got this daughter from a prior marriage, Ali. She begins investigating the mysterious happenings and discovers that humans can make deals with demons for wealth or power, for forfeiting the soul of their firstborn son. But if the deal is not fulfilled, the demon will stick to the family until another son is born. Hunter is the first male to be born on Christie's side since the 1930s. The violence in the house and the attacks from this spirit escalates throughout the movie. The family's dog, a German Shepherd, is attacked by the demon and suffers a seizure and is taken away to the vet. as Daniel and Abby take Abby to the veterinarian, Christy is attacked. Christy being the sister, of course. So, kind of bouncing over names here. So, Daniel and his daughter Ali take the dog to the vet. Christy is attacked and she's dragged into the basement by the demon who possesses her. That's a pretty good scene, very well shot, and it kind of mirrors the scene from the first movie where Kitty is dragged out of the bed and down the hallway, which was a freaky sequence in the movie. It's so well done. So it's that kind of deal here, but she gets dragged down the stairs across into the basement, and the door slams shut. Really good, but for me, not quite as good as that original one and the first movie where you're only getting pulled out of the bed. I just thought it was a better sequence. The following day, Ali is left home with Christy, unaware that she's possessed. Soon Ali hears a scratching coming from the basement door, opens it to find these scratches on the inside of the door and sees the word Lemus, Leus, Leus, which is Latin for mine, etched into the door. A strange bite mark on the leg, and footage of Christie's attack motivates Daniel to rehire the housekeeper Martine, who prepares across to exorcise the demon. Christie will have no memory of having been possessed, and Daniel plans to pass the demon on to Katie so that Christie and Hunter will be saved, despite Ali's pleas not to do this to her aunt. So this is, you see that night when Daniel tries to use the cross and Christie, she attacks him, and the house lights all go out. Using handheld cameras, night vision, he walks around the shaken house, gets down into the basement, where he's attacked by Christie. He retaliates against her with the cross, causing her to collapse. Daniel puts Christie to bed. Apparently, things has worked out here for the best. He's managed to get the demon out of her, gets her up to her bed, burns a photo of a young Kitty, around the outsides of it. And as you see this happening within the movie, you'd realise at this point, okay, this is the photograph and the movie that Kitty and her boyfriend found in the attic that was positioned above their bed. So, this passes the demon on to her, so the demon's attacking, trying to get this firstborn male kid. They have essentially just took the focus from themselves onto Katie. So you see how it's a sequel and a prequel. This is all the events before the first movie. So genius, absolute genius. I loved that about this movie here. 3 weeks later, Katie visits and explains that strange things have begun happening in her house. So we kind of get that little reminder of what was happening at the beginning of the first movie. Where are we at? I just looked away from my notes and I'm completely lost here. That night after Micah is killed, a possessed and bloodstained Katie breaks into the Ray house, our sister's house, kills Daniel and Christie, and then takes Hunter with her. A title card explains that Ali comes home from a school trip to find the bodies, and Kitty and Hunter's whereabouts remain unknown. So it is a great end to this film. It's just, it has a good way of that bait and switch early on in the movie, where this is just going to be another found footage of paranormal activity, and it's going to be a different family and whatnot. But then you very swiftly start to realise, okay, there's a connection between this family and the other one, and then just the way it unfolds, it is It's fairly genius. I actually really did enjoy this movie, and when I'm doing this review here right now, uh, I'm pretty much taking it from memory. I haven't had a chance to actually watch the movie, so I just got a hold of some notes online just to get my bearings on there. So there's a few bits that I missed out. I apologise, but I don't want to completely ruin every aspect of the movies for you as they go forward and hold on to that found footage element in them. They find ways of doing it a little bit different each time. So, very, very cool. And especially for someone like myself that is interested in filmmaking. As I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm actually working on a short film script. What I hoped to be a short film script. It depends how beefy it gets. It could be a longer one. Like, I want to say a longer than a short film. Like, might not be any more than a half hour. You know, whenever you're doing a short film, you kind of want to stay to that 10-minute, 12-minute mark. But realistically, it could be like a half hour at this point. But it is a horror, vampire kind of based movie. Excuse me. Kind of fighting a cold here. It is a kind of like a vampire, sort of a horror idea. Movies like Paranormal Activity jump out to someone like me that is, just does stuff on low budget. Like, there's no major cash to be had whenever it comes to this sort of stuff. Whenever you're living in Northern Ireland, and there's a fairly healthy TV and film industry about here, but at the zero budget level, it's very, very difficult to get things off the ground. Anyway, back to Paranormal Activity 2. Let me just see what we had here. Like I said, these here movies were going to be cash cows after the first one. So this one here had a budget of $3 million, and at the box office it made $177.5 million. So big payback on investment in this movie. Great job. I think that's probably going to do it right here. Just looking through. Yeah, the production notes don't seem to have anything really, something that jumps out at you. Okay, here's something interesting I just found here underneath filming for Paranormal Activity 2. Production on Paranormal Activity 2 began without a completed script. 3 weeks into filming, the footage was said to be disastrous, leading to a writer's room being assembled and production shutting down. Christopher Lanton, one of the writers brought in, gave notes on the footage, which prompted a studio executive to hire Landon and another unnamed writer to write half of the film. The pair's screenplay failed to satisfy the studio, and one final attempt by Landon alone was enough to reinvigorate the production. So that's interesting. When these sorts of things here, like, I've seen it in the past as well. You go out there, and you start something, and like, I've even been there in the past with a few ideas that I went out with, and you only had, like, there's two sides to the coin here in my experience with that sort of thing. You go out with about a quarter of maybe a half of an idea for something, and you end up kind of making it up as you go. You've got a good start, strong middle. You're not really sure how you're going to finish it, but then when you get out there and you actually start to make the thing, it's probably the worst way to do it ever. You want to have everything kind of in the can as far as, the screenplay and script and everything before you actually start the thing. But there is times you get out there to do something and you've only that bare bones skeleton sort of thing, and you end up like putting it together on the fly. And sometimes it works out fantastically. Sometimes it just, like, you get to the editing process and you're just like, delete. It's never going to work. But, that's strange. And then there's other times that I've went out to do some things and you've got a full script right there and you've got the whole thing right from the beginning to the end, what you want to do, all the dialogue you need to get, all the shots, everything's there for you. But whenever you get out and you start making it, and this is something that I love doing, is if you get a good crew together, a lot of people know exactly what they're doing. It's a very, very rare thing where I come from. But there was one project in particular where there was a lot of stuff that we wanted to do, and on the day, someone just came up with a brilliant idea that had nothing to do with the actual script or the writing of it and whatnot. They were just in there. One of the actors made a suggestion, and it made not a huge big difference in the original idea, but just enough to steer it in a bit of a new direction, give it a little bit more depth that the script didn't have in the first place, and actually made it 10 times better, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's always interesting to come across production notes like that. And you would think with something, that's only like Paranormal Activity 2, after such a successful first movie, them getting into production and without a completed script sounds absolutely crazy. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to shut it down fairly quickly tonight. As I say, I'm dying with a cold right now. And if I start to cough, if I talk much longer, the coughing is going to start one more time and I'm going to be barking all night long. Right, before I go, once again, if you're interested in checking out everything else I'm doing, and particularly this short film horror idea that I'm playing about with, at the recording of this, there mightn't be any updates just yet, but there will be within the next week or so. So check out coinsagemedia.com, and you should get it on the opening page if I can get it to work right. Yeah, so I'm excited. This is the first short film script that I've actually considered putting into actual production, and well, since 2016 was the last time I done it, so it's been a long, long time since I went down the indie film route for something. But it is what it is. Just had an idea that I'm excited to do, and we'll just have to see how it comes along. So, yeah, go check out Coins Age Media and keep coming back if the updates aren't there. It will be updated as regular as possible. Okay, thank you so much for checking out the episode. And until the next one, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all then. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.